isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creators, where we sit down often with a special guest and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. Hello, I am Simon.
And I'm Greg.
Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking shop with others in the wedding industry. And we've teamed up with Photography Farm to bring you 6 special episodes of this podcast in the run-up to Thrive on the 10th to the 11th of March at the Imagen AI in Yotel, Edinburgh. Yotel, I keep going Yotel, god damn, it's Yotel, sorry, Jesus. As they celebrate 10 years, which is seems crazy to me, but well done, Lisa, for getting to this milestone. Yeah, it's going to be a 2-day packed event, talks, panels, shooting, all that kind of good stuff, a space to learn and connect with people. Obviously, this podcast is sponsored by PickTime and by With Jack, but I'll get on to that a little bit later in the podcast. Gregory, good morning. Hello. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Who are we talking to today?
These episodes won't come out for a wee while. It's not Christmas.
I've time-stamped them. Shit.
We are talking to Joanna Brown. Hello, Joanna. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning. Happy Christmas.
Yay.
Merry Christmas.
At this point of people tuning in and actually listening, people will be like, "What the fuck? It's February! Like, what the hell, guys? What the hell?" Yeah, sorry.
Oh
you're
yeah.
listening to some of the behind the scenes. That's right. We batch record because we have lives as well. Anyway, Joanna, thank you very much for joining us today. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi. So I'm Joanna Brown Studio, recently rebranded as that. I'm a wedding photographer based in the UK and France, and I've been doing wedding photography this is my 15th year, so that feels quite a long time. Going into my 16th year, I predominantly work with film. That's what I'm known for. And yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
15 years. That's a good run. We're close to that as well. In fact, are we 15 years as well, Greg?
Yeah. 20. Well, yeah. You got married 2010, and then we started.
I did.
The February after that or whatever. So
yeah. Joanna, what changes have you felt in the wedding industry since those beginning years?
Oh my God. I mean, there's been so many evolutions, isn't there, of like what the kind of expectation. I mean, before me, when the wedding industry was like, before, in the olden days, I guess it's just like that kind of bloke with a camera. I think in 2010, I guess it was just that kind of stereotype was firmly smashed to pieces. And I think it was just a time when WordPress was big. Do you remember that? People were blogging. And I guess it was a culmination of kind of a moment in time where that stereotype had kind of worn thin, and there were new people coming onto the kind of wedding scene, and they made it a scene. I don't think it was a scene before that. It was just this sort of like embarrassing kind of, genre of photography. There was just some really like dull wedding magazines, weren't there, that were really traditional. And there was like a wonderful moment, I think, when photographers started shooting weddings from a photography point of view, not from a wedding photography point of view. Digital photography was suddenly available to all, so you didn't have to be this sort of master craftsman. So I think that sort of loosened it up a bit. And then you had, the real pioneers of the blogging. You had Kat from Rock and Roll Bride, Annabelle from Love My Dress. I see them too as the kinds of those in the UK particularly that were really starting to kind of give it a platform dresses were changing. Everything kind of changed in that instance. I think in the States, was it Style Me Pretty? Jose Villa, I mean, Jonas Peterson. I mean, I now mention Jonas Peterson to people and they're like, who? And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, the AI guy, is that not right?
Yeah. And it's like, no, he had a whole career and he built his career out of putting people in trees. Do you remember? With the tilt shift. So I guess there's been so many different iterations of kind of, I hate the word trend, but I don't think that was a trend. I think that was a turning point for weddings in general. And I, like you guys, were in the right place at the right time. And so to be part of that kind of explosion was really exciting, and it felt very kind of new and carefree. There wasn't really sort of trends because we were the kind of that first generation of that sort of, I don't know, weddings being done differently. And I think British traditions, obviously we are, we're not particularly forward thinking and maverick as a nation. And I think that moment people were just like, you know what, it's time just to kind of inject some personality and creativity. And up until that point, it was very stuffy. And you can't do that. These sort of like rules of what you should do. And so I guess we started breaking the rules in 2010. Thank God for that. And I guess I've been breaking them ever since.
Yeah.
Never just sitting like too comfortable of just like, I'm just, I'm constantly like trying to make myself uncomfortable. What, where can this go? How can this be sort of pushed, elevated? There's an inquiry, I guess, to kind of what I'm doing. And I guess in terms of the longevity of my career so far, it's just great to be part of an industry and to see all the different, permutations. Some of it I like better than others, like everybody. There's some things you're just like, oh God, I wish it was still 2010 when we were all just, writing a little blog post. That was quite sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was definitely an innocence to it, for sure. We're just... Like,
back
you didn't
then,
need
your
to wear
blog
so many
post would
hats.
be... Your blog post would just be like, X and X got married. It was a lovely day. And there was
It was a sweet...
You didn't have to think about the SEO to your blog post and everything. It was just...
Well, there was no social media, was there?
Yeah.
No social media. I mean, can you imagine like having a business without social media? That was our kind of, communication, wasn't it, with the world, like how we would kind of like speak literally. Like I remember just like writing all these blog posts forever, but just also really loving it and it just being quite simple, really,
Yeah.
I don't remember doing all the tags, the SEO, the this, the that, the behind the scenes, in the scene. Oh, like...
Yeah, it does. I definitely agree with you that 2010 was like a changing point for weddings in general, not just for wedding photography. And then wedding photography jumped on that and it became like a cool job. Like before, as you say, it was stuffy job that maybe was a part-time thing. Whereas from then on, it's been like, it's a aspirational job for some people. Like there's people coming into it nowadays going, I want to go in and be a wedding photographer. Whereas a lot of us fell into it. I'm not sure, like, what was your introduction to photography in general, I guess?
Well, I trained at uni, so I was a bit more intentional with kind of, I did media arts. And for my practical element, I did film actually, radio, because I'm that old, and photography. So they were my sort of practical blocks that I could do. And then I dropped radio, which I actually loved. We had to like cut the it together, splice it together with tape. I sort of majored in photography, which I loved. So I've been trained in photography in the darkroom. I was recently on a podcast and I was talking about my lecturer, Greg, And he really was instrumental in me becoming a photographer. He was a stand-up comic as well as a photographer, and he wouldn't let us shoot any colour for ages because he was like, you're not evolved enough. You're only allowed to shoot black and white. You know, we'd have these crits, we'd have our contact sheets, he'd have his pencil kind of thing going, that's rubbish. He was really hard. And I really wanted to please him and be the best. And because I loved it, I really fell in love with it. I found it just quite magical. I was in the darkroom all the time. So basically I was like in nightclubs and then going from nightclubs to the darkroom. I didn't see daylight for like 3 years. And I just fell in love with the medium and like how to, you got this little box and you can create something meaningful. And it was a way to access the world, I think, for me. And he was instrumental in that. He was hard on us and he really instilled like a really good work ethic and really to look at our images and to really evaluate what we're doing and why, which I think was kind of like a real gift. But I was never top of the class. This girl, Jeanette, was top of the class. And so I realised I was quite ambitious back then, kind of how I wanted to be sort of like really good at something. Because I've sort of tirelessly worked with photography ever since. And I was in publishing first, which is kind of related. And I was doing sort of graphic design. But I was sort of shooting on the side. Like I went to Australia when I got made redundant and I ended up living in a van, as you do. And I got a mobile phone and I put up these sort of handwritten notes in all the photography studios offering myself as an assistant. And so I assisted in this studio for a bit. And it was awful. I was awful at it because we were doing duvet covers. And I basically had to do lots of ironing. And I was living in a van. You know, it wasn't quite what I imagined it was. I thought I was going to be like on a set of, you know, some sort of sexy magazine. Anyway, it's all good experience. But what I realized is actually I really like people. And then my friends started getting married and I didn't really have any money. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just shoot their wedding for them. I'll just take my camera with some 35mm. And that's what I did for like, it was always a bit of a joke because, you know, back then people wanted toasters and I'd always turn up with my camera. And then so I kind of shot most of my friends' weddings, shot my dad's wedding, shot my sister's wedding, shot my mum's wedding. And then I guess I got to that point, I was like, oh, actually, I was lecturing, I was teaching photography and making my own work. And this sort of wedding thing just kept presenting itself. So I thought, you know what, I'll just build a website and just see. And the teaching was great, but I was on like an hourly contract lecturing in different institutions, which there wasn't really much stability or money. So I built this website and I literally put up 20 pictures. And then there wasn't really anyone around who was doing what I was doing and word spread. And it's apparently still spreading, 15 years later.
Yeah.
It's random, really, quite random. But yeah, I came at it from a photography point of view rather than a wedding photography point of view.
Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued. What took you into university to study that in the first place? Like, was there a family relative that like had a camera that always interested you, or
No.
was it just like, I don't know what I want to do? So Greg and I met at university, and we studied music tech because we both didn't know what we wanted to do, so we might as well do music tech.
The music tech gang.
I mean, yeah, bunch of weirdos, still weirdos, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was quite similar. When I went to sixth form, I loved art and I loved geography. I was really into geography and art, really random. And I went to a sixth form college, and they were like, you had all these timetable blocks, and my timetable couldn't they couldn't work it out, and they were like, you need to choose something from A block. You can't do this. I was doing sociology, geography, and I wanted to do art, and they were like, no, it doesn't meet the blocks. I had to either then do chemistry or media arts. And I remember thinking, oh, well, it's got art in it. It's kind of art, that will do. And I didn't want to do chemistry. It was chemistry, French, or this other subject. So I had to choose one. So I chose that one. And then a tutor there called Jackie, who actually lives where I live now. I see her around town, which is really funny. She was brilliant. She was like this amazing tutor, and she got us off making films, taking photographs, and I just was like, God, this is great. I really liked, like, I guess in traditional art, you're painting and drawing. I suddenly felt like my sort of tools were like filmmaking, sound, and photography, like an updated sort of version of kind of the traditional arts mediums. And so then I just said, well, I'll do that then at uni, because it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I
find it kind of funny that we're all here having made a career from something that we just like fell into. I find that so interesting. Like, I don't know.
But you guys must have had some kind of, you were able to play an instrument, I'm assuming.
No, I just had an interest in music and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, maybe I could like record bands or be involved in the music industry somehow.
Oh my God.
And that's all it came from for me. But you did play a wee bit, didn't you, Simon?
Yeah. Quite early on, I found my dad's practice drum kit in the attic, and I built that, and I started hitting stuff when I was like a young teenager. That's as much teaching as I did for a long, long time until I went to senior school. And I was like, okay, I'll have some drumming lessons. But again, it was more practical. It was more like playing around with rudiments. It was never sightseeing music. And so when I decided I wanted to study music, it was more on the practical side, but I just didn't have the skills. Like, I'd passed my theory exams enough to get that side, but the actual like sight reading, or, you know, I remember my exam, it was like, right, okay, you have to write a drum piece right now with the inspiration of time. And I'm like, the drums, the whole point of drums is time, is it not? And then I'm like, right, okay, I'll just do something like really experimental. And I'm here like, my thought process was like, okay, I'm gonna like, maybe the idea of time would be like, okay, to always be on time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play with that idea and actually be drumming off time. So it was more of a random conceptual piece that I came up with on the spot. I don't think it went down very well, but I was like, right, okay, well, I failed on my practical stuff, so I'll just go and study so I can learn to do the other stuff and just keep practicing the drums. But it didn't come to anything other than being in a band when I was younger. But, you know, when you're in a band, you don't need skills.
Cool though. Yeah, but you can just sort of like, you know, just have the swagger and just sort of be cool.
That is true. I will say, drummers, I mean, from speaking to many of my women friends, they do seem to say that drummers are the coolest of the band members. That's why they put us at the back, because they're jealous.
Well, because you're too cool.
Because we're too cool. We can't steal the show.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, do you play any instruments?
No. I used to play the violin really badly. Really bad. Oh, and I can play the guitar. I had guitar lessons in the local pub when I was younger.
Okay. Cool.
Back in those days when you just used to be like, do you want to play guitar? And I'd be like, yeah, where is it, Mum? Oh, it's in the pub. Okay, cool. I think it was just a ruse for the mums just to go and have a couple of wines.
100%. Like, yeah. Clever mums, honestly. That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's a hack.
Yeah. So you're doing photography. You've studied it, like through studying photography. Was there like a change in the perception of the world, or even just your world around you? Did you have any like epiphanies about how you saw things that changed?
Crikey. I mean, I was like 18, 19. So I guess what it did, I started observing, because I think when you're younger, you're just a bit selfish and you think the world revolves around you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, some adults still think that, but so I think it changed my position to the world. I felt like I sort of went into a different space, which I quite liked, because I'm sociable and I really love people, but I quite like that kind of not to be too far in, and I'm not a loner and I'm not like in the middle of things. So I sort of found this sort of quite nice place where I could sit quite comfortably, and I guess sort of I was a bit of a daydreamer. I've always been a bit of a thinker. And so this sounds really weird, but I guess by having a camera, it was my sort of conversation back to myself in that space where I was kind of observing people, and it must have meant something for me to then capture that. That was my role. When I was really young, my mum reminded me of this. I used to do this, when you're really young and you had to go around and sit around people's houses and you're really bored. Do you remember, like, there was no like phone to play on. You just had to sit and wait, and you'd be like looking at this clock thinking, oh God, this is going on for too long.
Is this like set up play dates? How old are we talking?
No, so say I was like 5, and you're at some random relative's house that you just have to sort of sit in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And adults are talking, they're not talking to you. You're just there.
Yeah.
And I used to be so bored. So my mum used to just give me pieces of paper, and I used to draw like the room and draw.
Oh.
I was always sitting on the floor. You never could have a chair for some reason. The child couldn't have a chair because, you're just on the floor and you just had to wait, and you didn't understand what they were talking about because it's adult stuff. There's no telly. There's no, internet. And so I just used to draw all the time, like what I was seeing. And I'm wondering on some level whether that's what then photography became an extension of, like, me observing, but then suddenly I had this camera to then just capture that scene, like I updated my medium. So I think, being a child of the 70s, being quite bored, you then used your imagination. And so I think photography is that kind of, it is my kind of, I have that sort of part of me still alive, that my imagination. I have like I'm a creative soul, really, deep down, that I'm kind of thinking, making, creating stuff. Like, that's probably what it was, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. When you're creating now, are you still that little girl on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am. I really am. Standing up a little bit more, maybe.
Well, yeah, sure. Like, all your pictures
if I just did every job.
job.
Where is she? She's on the floor.
That's right. So many double chins. Just.
Oh God, yeah. I'm always on the floor. No, I guess I am. Like, I do sort of think about those sort of liminal spaces that we work in, and I'm very conscious of the space that I'm working in, and I am. I really try to be playful. So that's very childlike, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
How about you guys? Where are you shooting from? Are you like, do you feel like you're in or out or somewhere in between?
I'm probably on the outer edge of in between. Like, I'm not completely voyeuristic, but I'm not charismatic and right in there. So somewhere in that outer edge of of in between.
I feel like that was a nice wee compliment you just paid me, Greg. Oh, you thinking I'm charismatic? And I'm in the I'm in the group. That's so. I mean, you did use the word charismatic. Am I reading too much into things? Yes, I am. But still, I feel like I'm more in there. I try to talk to a lot of people at events. I like talking to people in general. I feel kind of like you, Joanne. Where it's I keep calling you Joanne. Sorry, Joanna. Where it's like I'm there, but I'm not like in the main group. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe not weddings, because I do try, and obviously the main group is kind of like the bride and groom, so I'm obviously there. But I mean, like when I vision myself in like a social scenario, that's how I feel. But yeah, I'm very much trying to get in there as much as possible.
I found it interesting how you described that, because a lot of people go to the extremes of, oh, I'm introverted and I'm extroverted, and that's just the two camps they identify in. But you kind of explained it as being in that middle ground, like you're sociable and you like to be there, but also not right deep in it. So it was interesting that most people go to the extremes with that.
I also liked what you said, Joanna, about like as a kid you'd be there, but you wouldn't be a part of the main group, as in you weren't talking to the adults, no one was talking to you. But then when you were describing yourself later on, you almost painted it in the same way, like you were there, but you weren't in the main group. I can't remember the exact wording that you chose to use there. So yeah, it was interesting, the correlation between your childhood and how you are now. I feel like there's probably more correlations between us all as our childhood and adulthood kind of, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess, like, really, photography is a lot about, and filmmaking is about people and about how you are with people. The camera is then the tool, isn't it? But actually, like, where are you? How do you connect to people? I think that's more important sometimes. And so your fundamental years of how you grew up and how your parents were, and I think it does, your personality is then dictates where you are and how you're going to then use whatever you've got in your hand. So your essence of your being is imprinted in that image, and that's overlooked. People go, "Oh, what camera did you use?" I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's a consideration, but it's here. It's where I'm drawn to, how I move through a space, how I interact with people. Like I see, I was talking to, because I do quite a lot of mentoring. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, I see a three-dimensional space at a wedding, and there's like, there's the play, the stage, the curtains open, off we go. You sort of got the audience, and I'm in the middle, moving, but I can go onto the stage because I have access to the stage, right? So, which is wonderful. And I can kind of sneak behind the curtain. I can go up and look down. I can take myself back right to the audience. You've got this amazing ability to kind of move through a space. And it's wide, it's deep. And so like, I'm trying to sort of like move through all these different kind of places. We've got like 10 hours, there's so much breadth and depth to the narrative, to the performance, to the play, where are you in that? And I think if you know fundamentally like who you are, then that dictates to you then a lot of the work you'll be making.
Yeah.
And I think that's overlooked.
Yeah, I actually agree. I love that analogy actually that you made. Do you think a lot of photographers struggle with recognizing that they can have access to any point of this performance? Because and is that tied to their confidence?
I think it's down to like your perspective first. You know, like if you're going in for the minutiae, then you forget about what's around you. So like if you're able, like, you know, like on like a director on a film set will go have a wide shot and then go in, and they're using that as their visual language, you know, establishing shot, boom, and then onto a conversation. It's like a camera over shoulder. Like, you know, there's this incredible like different points of view to create a story. And visually speaking, we don't have a script. We don't have well, you know, we kind of know the script, but like, you know, I'm relying just on still images. You've got moving image, so you've got a bit more to play with. But it's like, how can you best tell that story? You know, like there's a breadth and a depth and a perspective, and you can move within that. And I think photographers, maybe they're not looking at what photojournalism really is, like how to really tell a story with pictures. And they are not thinking with the bigger picture. They're not thinking that they can move. They're not thinking that they can move on. They're not thinking that, you know, is that the point of view? Like, you know, they're not asking that. They're following probably the main protagonists and then just going, and then just standing there, got the shot. I'm not thinking like that. You know, if I, you know, go into that space, then I have to snap myself out of it and be like, no, like, where is the shot? Where is the shot? And it's working. You have to work quite hard because you have to have real presence of like, and be confident to move across through the wedding in a different way. And I think a lot of the images we see, you know, people aren't very good at this. And so the majority of people are shooting it from a very sort of one dimensional point of view. And they're not even thinking that they can do anything different. You've got to have like a bit more of an inquiring mind to kind of go, how can I make this better? And it's not about, I need the latest Sony, or if I put another preset on that. It's definitely not. It's like, you know, you have to be working quite hard in conversation with yourself. And I think a lot of people are too maybe detached from that. And they're influenced by lots of other things, which then dictate their pictures. I'm not.
There's moments in a wedding day where there's like, the rule is you have to stay on the couple, like the first kiss. But how confident are you getting with looking for the other shot? Are you not focusing on that? Now. Are you not focusing on the couple for that moment? Or is it like we've spoken to other photographers where they've had like some iconic first kiss shots and like the focus was on the granny in the background? Do you push the limits with those types of shots?
I'm not trying to push limits with things. I'm trying to sort of like see a nuance to something, like, you know, so like say with the first kiss, which I hate, by the way, because it's one of those things that you're like, it's coming, when is it going to come? And then, do you know, the anticipation of that as a photographer, you're like, oh God, do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, the moments that are coming, I'm like, oh no, not another one. Because it's like the heart starts to race a bit and you're like, come on, just relax. It's going to be fine. So I might probably take a risk with how I'm going to shoot it with what I've got available. So I'm not going to do something kind of crazy for the sake of it, but I'm like, maybe what angle, what camera, I'm shooting with different cameras, so that's quite a big choice to make. And I guess the safe shot would be the digital camera on burst, because then you've got it. I'm there going, but that's probably when my heart is racing, because I'm going, which camera, Joe? And then I'm like, I make a decision, and then I've got one shot. So then it's like, you know, I want to capture that moment on a certain format in a certain way, because I'm probably looking at the light, the tone, the color, the composition, and I'm thinking this will look gorgeous on medium format because the tonal range of this scene and the light is beautiful. And by doing one shot, then it becomes more precious to me, because it's like I chose that shot, me and that shot came together, and it's then on that roll of film, and I carry on the day, you know, like it's just, there's something very magical and poetical about the process, which I think for me gives the work a greater depth and meaning, because I do only have one go.
Yeah. Are you ever scared that you'd miss the moment if you're taking that approach?
No.
I think, no? Because I think a lot of photographers probably would feel fear. And I think that's probably why they burst shoot these moments, for example. Unless, well, I mean, there's this, you know, creating GIFs and stuff are, you know, that's popular. But, you know, I think a lot of people don't. A lot of photographers don't go and shoot with the idea of creating like a moving GIF. It's more like they just don't want to miss the moment. You know what I mean?
But I would say to you, like, who says you've missed, you know, like, like, who says there's the moment? You know, like,
yeah.
I hate this, like, Daily Mail they, yeah, like, you know, like, so, you know, like, I'm there, as long as I'm not, you know, having, you know, a fag or whatever, which I don't anymore, but, you know, like, you know, I'm going to be, I'm there. I'm there. It's going to unfold in front of me. There are these key moments. I'm going to be there. How I'm choosing to capture that key moment is my craft and my art, and it's my instinct to my eye. I've lent into then making those my own. And when people say, are you going to miss the moment? Well, I might have missed somebody else's moment, but by me pressing the shutter, I'm making my moment. That is the moment. That's the only moment we need to worry about, because the fictitious moment never happens. The only moment that happens is the moment I press my finger on the button, and that's me being decisive and intentional as a photographer. That's my moment. That's the kiss. That's what someone's paying me to go and do, because I'm going to make every moment mine. All the missed moments weren't meant to be for me.
Yeah.
You know, because who's to say that for me, the moment might be in a very small part of the wedding, which nobody might never see. And for me, that moment might be really important in the narrative of the day. I kind of feel like I don't want to work from a place of fear. And by kind of someone going, you know, oh God, you know what, don't you worry about the moment. It's like, I'm capturing so many beautiful moments. That moment never comes and go, you know, like, do you know what you mean? Like, I don't need to capture every moment.
So let's take the first kiss for an example, just because we've been talking about it. The idea I think most photographers would have is that moment, the couple are up there and their lips have locked. That's when you'd go, that's the moment, boosh, and you'd capture that. Is that the wrong approach? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying it's the wrong approach. I'm saying that is one moment of many moments. So what happens just before, when he's just goes towards her? You know, the anticipatory moment. Is that more beautiful than them just going and then hold? Or is it the moment they start to pull away and then they kind of look to each other? Like, and also on a very philosophical level, like, I feel like I have to trust that the moment that I choose to capture is the right moment for me to capture.
Yeah.
I'm not going to not capture that moment. Like, I'm going to be there. I will take a version of that moment, but I don't need to like shoot to get all the moments. I'm like, is that like that was when me and my camera and them and that space, we converged together, and that's the moment. And that for me is, you know, the privilege of being a photographer, that I'm not offering every moment.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that? Yeah, no, you know what's interesting? I think actually photographers, they know these moments can be seen differently because, for example, we've worked alongside many photographers. They know that the best shot with a couple is not like when they're just doing a couple session, right? They'll always do the right kiss, but don't actually touch your lips together. I think that's because they genuinely know that the anticipation of an event hits, I don't want to say hits harder, but I feel like it just lingers in a different way. But I don't think they're brave enough to apply that kind of thinking to live moments. You know what I mean? Like a first kiss, for example. So it's interesting that you've almost been able to apply that thinking to the different tones and vibes of what a particular image could be, whether or not it's the beginning or the end or even the actual moment. But I think because I'm shooting film, you know, cast your breath in the decisive moment, he was onto something then. Because you don't get, you know, the opportunity to then go back and choose the one moment then in post-production. I'm on the spot going, like, you know, inside that's happening. I'm not standing there like that, looking like a lunatic. But, you know, like, my choices are limited. You have to have, you know, this comes back to like, what is your voice? What is your intention? Who are you? You have to be brave enough to own it and to go, it's now. It's now. And now I've got to rewind the film on, so I'm not taking any shots for a bit. Yeah. It's cool.
I've just got to plug my thing in. I've just realised.
Your what?
My charger.
Your charger.
Oh, okay. Go plug your charger in. Go on. It's okay.
That's
all right. These things happen. Maybe we should make this a moment in the podcast where I put a sponsored note in. We're going to interrupt this podcast to bring you an advertisement for PickTime. Our buddies at PickTime. We love PickTime. If you want to elevate your business, PickTime's maybe the way to do it.
It's an online gallery delivery service.
It's a really good looking one, which is initially how we got into the service. It just looks better than all the other kind of platforms that we personally use.
Yeah. We've over time got to know the owners, got to know the people behind it. Lovely people, great support system there as well.
There's just so many tools at your fingertips with PickTime, but the marketing and the blogs and the slideshow features.
Yeah, there's so much more than just a gallery delivery service. You've got all those things that Simon was talking about. You can create your own blog from it. You can create slideshows. One new feature that I really love is the vendor network. It's where you can use AI to curate a gallery for a specific supplier. So you could use AI to gather all the photos of the flowers and send them to the florist, and they would have that gallery specific just for them.
It's kind of a mind-blowing feature.
Yeah.
And we might as well be taking advantage of AI before the uprising and it starts taking advantage of us. So let's just all bear that in mind.
Yeah, and not to mention the built-in store, and that way you can just make more money while also having a nice, aesthetically pretty gallery.
Yeah. And if you want to sign up today, you can get a free month if you use Perspective at checkout.
Yeah.
So if you want to test out for free for a month, go for it.
Take your business to the next level with PickTime.
Right. Right, we're charging.
Yes. Well done. Well done, Joanna. Thank you.
Power.
I'm glad you have to go away because I'm actually really enjoying this chat.
Okay.
It's really good. It's good fun.
Oh, thank you. Right. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So
Again,
after technical issues and ad breaks, we're back. Let's talk about your work, let's shift gears a wee bit. Like, we talked about the industry and how it's changed in the last 15 years. How has your work evolved over these years? How would you describe it nowadays?
Yeah, interesting. I guess in the sort of, it's really difficult, isn't it, when you're having to talk about your own stuff? I guess it's looser.
Looser. Okay.
Random way to describe it. I guess it's more, I'm more confident to create narratives and stories really through my eye. And I think that's what I've been crafting for 15 years. So like what we were saying about the kiss, you know, when I started, I was more like, oh my God, I need to get the kiss. Whereas now I'm firmly in there. I'll get the kiss. I'll get the kiss how I want to get the kiss. And that's like a real kind of different way of working. So there's not that anxiety I guess looser is like all those kind of fears of like, what happens if, because I think a lot of photographers are so fearful and they're stressed and they're scared and they're fearful and they're like, oh, I think what I've managed to do with experience is then go, well, the stress and that's going to be there all the time. So why not lean into doing it how you're comfortable doing it? So I'm accountable to myself and I've only got myself to kind of worry about. All of that noise will exist anyway. So I'm not going to listen and be dictated by that anymore. I'm going to have an internal conversation and shoot how I want to shoot. And that's a peaceful, playful space. And I guess I've nurtured that part of me. And that's grown. So now that is the dominant voice. I'm not shooting, being dictated to by a kind of stress or noise or pressure. And I'm trying to work in a space where I know that exists, but it doesn't dictate to me my creative choices. So then there's a freedom with that, because then there are no rules, there is no noise, there is no pressure. So then there's a infinite opportunity of space to be creative. Yeah. Which I think is kind of probably where I'm at. It's like I'm walking a different line now.
Are you Neo from The Matrix? This is how I feel like. You've like seen past the industry, the code, there's the rules that are written, and you're like, you know what? I'll write my own code here. I'll do my own thing.
I
fucking love that.
Basically, yeah.
I was going to ask, does that, like, have you ever, I don't want to say gotten yourself into trouble with clients by taking that approach, but has there ever been an expectation from a client that you've maybe not achieved in all that time with that approach? Or
well, I think that approach is about, it's like a philosophy. I mean, this sounds really nuts as I say it, like it's like there is no pressure, because what I'm saying is that if I'm being in my kind of, if they trust me implicitly and I educate them to kind of how I'm working and this is how it looks, then they can't really have an expectation of me, because it's not predetermined, because the creativity happens in a space.
Oh my God, so I'm so sorry. There is someone at the door. I am so sorry. Right. Again. Greg, take over.
You can continue talking. He's got his headphones in, so he can still hear you.
You can hear him.
Sorry.
So I hope my clients, the evidence when I show them like the full galleries and my archive of work, they like the stance. I've never had someone say, have you got that from a different... I remember having once someone said, oh, the confetti, one confetti shot. She was like, have you got another one? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
So I guess they know they're not going to get that type of photography, and there's a trust, and I educate them, and they want my one moment rather than like 5 or 6 of the same thing. It's a different kind of thing I'm offering. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like that approach. I think it's more refreshing than, when you speak to a lot of people. Again, it goes back to that fear for other photographers, like shooting in burst mode. I'm like, but yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Again, sorry about the packaging. The packages that arrived at my door. So busy.
Is it Christmas presents? Oh no, we can't say that.
It was Christmas presents. Yes. Yeah, so obviously you on your website there's a lot of mention of Vogue and Harper Bazaar and some of your clients. Some of them, which, well, I'll ask about Charli XCX because I think she's part of the zeitgeist at the moment, and I know listeners will be like, "Ooh, what was it like? Like, give us the gossip." For our listeners.
Okay, I'm not really allowed to give anything.
Right. Have you been NDA'd?
I'm so NDA'd up to my eyeballs.
Well, there you go, listeners.
But I can, what I can say is, that job, I've had like some near misses in terms of my careers of like, when colleagues have got the job, and you're like, when am I going to have my moment? Like, not that we all going to have a moment, but like, I was always just a bit like bummed out. And then obviously when this moment, see the irony, because her film's called The Moment. This moment came about and I was like, shit, here it is. And it was really interesting because I was like, oh wow, it's her. And what I love about life in the world is you never know what's coming around the corner. And in some ways, I was like, of course it's Charli XCX. Of course she's like the one that I'm going to be in this moment with, because how she is in the world is phenomenal and is interesting, and she's a strong woman and she's creative and she's brave. She is brave. And I just was like, what a privilege. Like, I feel like she saw me in my work, that I've been burrowing away and being brave, being a woman in the world, like, like taking risks, being a bit, of a maverick here and there, not being comfortable. And I just thought how wonderful, like, to work with her and George, who's also a creative, and to be around, their guests, all of them were creative. And it really felt like you know what, if it all ends tomorrow, I'm in the place I need to be right now. And all of that doubt, hard work, I've had, bad experiences, good years, bad years, I'm still human, it's not like a ride to the top, is it? That's just handed to you like Willy Wonka's golden ticket.
Yeah.
And, I just was like, this is incredible. It meant so much to me. And, part of me is like, shit, can I do this? And then the other part of me is like, fuck, of course you can, woman, And also, like, so when I went and approached it, I approached it with fun. And this sounds nuts because it's like the biggest job of your career. I had lovely Danny seconding with me, and we had breakfast, and I was like, listen, today's going to start and it's going to be like a wild ride, Who knows what's going to happen? We get one shot. We're leaning into this. We're going to have fun. We're going to soak it up. We're going to be free. We're going to like enjoy ourselves. It's going to be insane. We're going to give it everything. We're not going to leave anything at the door. We are full on, feel it. We need to feel this. And we felt every moment of it. And,
Amazing.
it was incredible. Like, and the pictures are like wild and, wonderful and beautiful. And to be in that space with that kind of art, an artist like her and George and all, the guests, to be witnessed and to be in the arena, I was like, wow, this is like, it was like crazy, but also like, thanks universe. Like, you really did deliver this one to me. And I had to take the opportunity. It's not to say that part, also at the same time as all of those things, I was scared and then that fear was there. But again, with that fear, it's like, what, don't let that fear hold you back from being who you are,
Yeah.
So she was
I love that.
lovely.
How differently, like, shooting a creative's wedding is always stressful, but to have that mindset going into it, how differently would your mindset have been 10 years ago if you got that at that stage in your career?
Yeah, probably like, not as able, not as, a bit smaller in that space, a bit like more kind of being neurotic or being, fearful, stressed, feel a bit, what's that thing when you have imposter syndrome, like,
oh yeah,
those kind of things. I probably would have thought, whereas, there, I was like, off we go to work.
yeah.
Whoop, whoop. Like, it's cool, man. And also, my son thinks I'm now really cool.
Well, there's always an upside there.
And also, like, funnily enough, like, wedding photography was also really uncool. Like, when I was at uni and Greg, my lecturer, hated it. Part of me is like, I really want to like find Greg and go, hey, Greg, you know what? Wedding photography did get cool. Look, did get cool, by the way. So, yeah, it was ace.
Yeah, that's
The
cool.
music
That's cool.
was very good, put it that way.
Oh, I can't even imagine. How? Obviously, I'll ask a question. If you can't answer it, no problem. How did the inquiry come to you?
Through a planner.
Okay.
Yeah, most of my jobs now come through planners. Because I guess they're at that kind of, I'm kind of working in that kind of more, luxury market where these people will have planners. And so relationships with planners. And that planner, I think, also I shot Sub Focus's wedding, and he.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
I'm not too familiar, but I know that was a name on your website.
Massive, like, he's in the top 10 now. Like, he's a drum and bass producer, DJ. He's phenomenal. I shot his wedding in an Ibiza, and we had like Calvin Harris and all these DJs there. I mean, that was wild. That was really went off. So I think then if you're kind of, I think there's niches within markets, and I think, because I guess not every photographer is the right fit for the client and the job, and you have to have a, like if I think of a lot of my peers, how would they have shot Sub Focus's wedding? How can you be in that arena? These are very different weddings. These aren't, they're very, 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 and it's about how can you be as a human in that space? And I think if you've done kind of one and then you've done another, then you're comfortable in those sort of spaces where there's, because it's really different. It's really a different kind of gig, and only certain people would be able to handle it or understand how to shoot in those spaces, because quite a lot of time it's very chaotic.
Yeah.
I mean, really, yeah.
Yeah, I always, I always think of photographers who, or even ourselves or myself, like I probably would feel that extra pressure to be like, I know this person has been photographed or filmed in such high production. What
Right.
I would be thinking, what else? Like, first of all, I probably would be thinking, oh, why me? But then I you know,
no.
having gone through that, I would be like, right, okay, what can I do that's different, or what can I apply to this that in a way that they might not have been approached creatively before on a visual level, or anything like that. But did your mindset go in that kind of route? Like, how can I approach this differently? Or was it a case of being like, no, they've clearly hired me because of the stuff that I do. I'm going to go and just do that stuff, but with them.
Yeah, that really, because I think, when you photograph, let's just say, any kind of celebrity or artist that has been photographed and you've seen those photographs, you have to have the courage of the conviction of what you do. And actually, I think the thing that I do is, like, I'm soft, and there's heart, and there's soul, and then there's depth, and there's playfulness. And probably a lot of these people, their promotional shots where they've had to look, as you say, like overly styled, overly posed, overly produced. I'm trying to get to the essence of who they are, because really, yes, it's Charli XCX or whoever you're photographing, but they're not at work that day. Like, that's their heart, that's their people, that's their story, the story that, we see celebrities shot in a very specific way, which is promotional, or, it's a very stylized, it's an image of them. I want a photograph of them, not an image, So I'm, again, like, in that space thinking, how could, I'm seeing them. My lens is not the lens they normally have. They've chosen me because they hopefully like what they've seen. So I'm going to lean into that as much as I can and try and sort of disassociate from what I've seen before, because it's irrelevant really to kind of what my intention is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I think you would end up doing the same though, wouldn't you? You would sort of just go, you would double down on like what you do and try and not to think, oh, but when they were shot in that, I did ask her, like, does she have a better side? I did ask those kind of things.
Yeah.
Because
Is that the same sort of question you would ask any couple though? Or did you adapt that? Yeah.
Well, I guess for her particularly, because she's been photographed so many times, and so she's probably got a language about how she understands how she equates to a lens and a picture. And so is there any I think I just said, is there any no-go angles for you? Some brides, I think, even now I do get some that will say, oh, Joe, I prefer my left side, because I think people are so conscious how they look. People are taking selfies, aren't they? There's pictures of us in the world, and if someone has a thing that they want, so I will open up the conversation and just say any no-goes, because I think it's really good to know, because you don't want to be photographing your bride and them sort of looking at you and you kind of know that they're not quite comfortable. So I think it's an okay question. Some people are just like, I'm cool with whatever. But some people, I think at some level of service, that's quite a good question to ask. I don't know. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you ask the question? Are you conscious of like that?
I wouldn't say we tend to ask the question, but
I don't think we do.
We're open to, like, as you say, if one of the couple say, oh, I don't like this angle of me, then we'll receive that. But I don't think we tend to bring up the topic before, like on calls or anything.
No, yeah, I definitely don't, but I am paying attention, obviously, like Greg said. But I suppose I know we all have preferences as to our to make a photograph. Although that being said, I don't think I do about myself. I'm very aware of beauty standards and stuff like that, and my natural inclination would be just to have a conversation about those sorts of things. I do it a lot with mums, actually. A lot of mums don't have a lot of self-confidence, and so I'm always over with the mums, and just having a good conversation about that sort of thing. I'm just very aware of body standards and stuff, especially in visual mediums. I think a lot of beauty standards are put onto women in particular unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So, but then it's, I understand people having those beliefs about themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I guess you just have to navigate it. And as a woman, I'm probably more conscious of it because I'm also a woman who also feels like that. So I'm connecting to them, kind of opening up a conversation. So then they might go, actually, and I'm sort of gauging how they are about, how they perceive themselves, or see where their confidence at, and then give them confidence.
Yeah,
really, I support them.
Yeah, that is my approach. But I'm obviously aware that I am a guy, and it comes differently from me. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel quite hyper aware of being a man in what can be a women's space, or certain people have different beliefs about that. All those new kind of situations that you can find yourself in. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky, but I suppose we're all people, so on a level we can all connect with each other. Just kind of gotta find that route in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, shout out to the mums, by the way. All the mums rock.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
Should we make Lisa happy?
Yes, I was going to say, let's talk about Thrive, because we probably don't do that enough. Sorry, Lisa.
Oh yeah, we must talk about Thrive. That's why we're here.
That is why we're here. Yeah. Yes, Thrive. Obviously, you're going to be doing a talk. Let's talk about what you're going to be talking about first.
Yes. She's pedaling back. My talk is going to be on ways of seeing, because I guess, what we're talking about, like that, where you shoot from the perspective, your point of view, kind of what's available to you. I kind of want to open the lid on that, because I don't think it's talked about very much.
Is your thoughts on that kind of, have they been revealed through your mentoring? Because you obviously mentioned that you do a lot of mentoring.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of photographers struggle with that?
Yeah. I would say people are coming to me often then going, something's kind of missing. I'm a bit stuck. I've hit a wall. How do I kind of, go from here? And I'm like, you need to expand. They've just been they're too small. So expand into the actual space of a wedding, into the space of being a photographer, expand. So many people, I'm like, what aperture are you on? Are you playing with that? They're like, no. I'm like, oh, right, okay. There's all these creative choices and points of view. So I'm trying continually to people to kind of go, what's beyond that point? What's beyond that? Let's have a conversation. And quite a lot of people don't really have these conversations, especially if they're not a trained photographer or had any formal education. They might just be looking at an image online and then just going, oh, well, that's the norm. That's what I should be doing. And then, 5 or 6 years into a career, then they're like, I'm burnt out. Like, what am I doing? Where am I at? I've just been in a washing machine. And I'm like, right, okay, we need to ground you and work out, where you are, who you are. Look, these are the options, these are the choices. Go weave a route, So I think I really like kind of helping people access the broader picture of being a wedding photographer. And it's quite narrow what we see.
Yeah. And
so more of
day two, is that gonna be like taking that stuff that you've talked about and putting it into like practical aspects?
Yeah. So like I'm gonna do like a shoot outdoors. So it's brave, it's unknown, it's unwieldy, a bit like me.
March in Edinburgh is always lovely.
You lie. You lie. It's probably going to be raining with a howling wind. So I'm going to take like a concept of like an editorial bridal, fashion really. So it's going to we're going to lean into like textures, tone. It's going to be quite, I don't want to say the word gothic because it's not gothic, but it's leaning into like the time of year, Edinburgh. And then we're going to do like a live shoot. I'm going to kind of do it in terms of how to inject, then how to work the space. So we've got the space of the, it's a fashion editorial. So how far can we push that? What does that mean? How can we move and shoot with this? And I'm going to try and get 2 models because I quite like then their kind of energy together. How to be playful with that. And then like out in the world, how to then navigate shooting that in a space, so it's like unknowns. So then, how can we show up in that space and where can we work from? So then breaking down that kind of thing, because originally, like I said to Lisa, I was like, I think I'm going to go outside, and she was like, oh God. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I should do like a studio thing and it'd be really controlled. And I just thought, actually, no, like, let's be, be a bit more braver and playful, and by not controlling everything. Because also this kind of muscle, nobody's got any control over a wedding. Nobody has. So, the shoot is meant to be kind of, that kind of, with that in mind, that yes, all we know is we've got these clothes and these models in this location, and we're going to like create narrative and play from that point. So yeah, I'm going to maybe storyboard it with them as well first, thinking about points of view, because I think that's very, like how to then move on quickly, how to direct for a bit, but models. I didn't want a couple.
Right, okay. Because that's I would say most of the shoots, it's like, oh, we've got a real couple. That's important here. But yeah, I like that you're changing that up.
Yeah, I guess it's that kind of that act of kind of like, well, let's try something different. And with models, you can have a different, like it's like a good practice, like practice things, models are great for that. Like, it's just really interesting because they're in their bodies in different ways. And that's useful. That's really, really useful because, as when we come to do the portrait show with our couples, if you understand how people are in their bodies and how can be in their bodies, when you're with a model, like there's so many things how they can just naturally be. And it's just a different way of working, which then you can translate that over to them working with couples. So I think it's just a different kind of conversation that you're having in a visual sense. and it's playful and it's meant to be fun, and it'll be different, and we don't get these opportunities. Like we're always with couples, we're not often with models, and models are they're great.
Yeah.
So that's how it's going to go.
Hey, I'm really sorry. My camera overheated and now has switched to my laptop camera. Can I leave
You're
and come
so
back?
hot.
That's what it is. Clearly, it's winter season and all my ears are bunged up full. Yeah, can I leave and come back in? Is that gonna ruin things? All right, sorry.
That's it. We need to get a new camera. So I guess, what was it about Thrive that made you say yes? And like, what did Lisa say to you to get you on board?
What did Lisa say? Well, I've known Lisa for like a long time, and have utmost respect for her. And I think I did. What was that thing she used to do in that farmhouse?
The barn.
The barn. Was it the barn?
Was it? Did she have a different name? I think it was like the original Thrive started as photography farm.
Photography farm. That was it. Yeah. So I did a photography farm years ago, and obviously I've seen all different iterations of what she's evolved into. She did approach me a couple of years ago, and I was like, I don't think I'm quite there yet, because I want to really feel like I've got something to offer. And so I was like, listen, I'm going to say no now, but that's not to say there won't be a time in the future. I was like, just always ask me. And so she was like, right, I'm going to. And then so she asked me last year and I said no. And then again, because I just was like, I'm not quite there yet. It's weird. Like I just have like an intuition of it. And then when she asked me again, then I was like, I'm there. Like I feel like I've got to a point. I think in some sort of weird way, sort of hitting 15 years and this last year has been really fundamental to me, maybe in terms of that kind of milestone. And I feel like I've now got something really of value to offer. I really feel that. And I didn't want to be that person who was a bit like, oh God, like your moment will come when it's there. And then she was like, great, it's 10 years. And I was like, actually, this is really, it's aligned, I feel like what an honor to be there for 10 years. Lisa is like an absolute legend, and to be part of that, it feels like, this is really where I'm meant to be at this moment with Thrive. And, I'm not very good at public speaking. So I was nervous about that. I feel less nervous about that. I just feel like it's come together.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. I mean, I say that every year, but I mean it this time. I was lying all the other times.
Have you been every year?
Not every year, but I mean, how long have we been doing the podcast for, Lisa? It's got to be a good 4 years.
We've definitely been
maybe?
to like the last 4, maybe in Scotland, anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's been the standout? Like, now I'm going to put you on the spot. Like, who are you like? They are the Mutts Nuts.
Do you know who I will say? And they gave an amazing talk, but they also had such kindness, and that was Fer Horisti.
Oh.
Because it was early days in our podcast, and we hadn't been doing them for Lisa yet. So this must have been one of the first Thrive ones. And I really wanted to get him on. And so after his talk, which was amazing, I mean, he gave out shots. Did he give out shots? Is that right?
Yeah, there was tequila.
That year, he gave out shots.
Tequila?
Tequila, and he had such an amazing talk and brought such energy into a morning that was, if I believe it was kind of rainy and drab in Scotland, and he really opened up a lot of people's eyes, I think, because sometimes, okay, we don't have the Mexican color in our venues, but he was going to wedding venues, and they're they're, as he describes them, I mean, I can't remember the words, but he basically said they're just as shit over there as they are over here. If that's how you're feeling, if you're going to wedding venues and you're thinking, I can't do anything with this, he gave us such an amazing talk to be like, you can be creative in these places and you have permission to be creative. Composition, color, light, look for all that kind of stuff. And when we reached out to him in person, he was like, yeah, if you guys can come and pick me up, drive me to your studio, because we weren't doing this online yet, and drive me to your studio in the morning, and I'll do it with you before I get on the plane. And I thought,
wow,
that kindness that he showed has never left me. And so I've always got a lot of time for Fair, for sure. So yeah. Also, a great episode, by the way. He basically just gave his whole talk as a podcast episode, which I didn't mean for him to do, but he just went straight into it. So yeah, always a good listen to. For sure.
Right. Oh yeah, I'll go back and listen to him. He was like a legend, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. God,
I mean, he still is, but like I remember when he sort of that kind of really street photography, color composition line. I remember just thinking, that kind of fearless sort of era, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was, yeah.
Great.
I'd say one that's stuck out through the past, which she's obviously returning this year, was Jennifer Moore. Hers was always one that was really good from, I mean, that was a good few years ago, back in the cold warehouse days in Edinburgh.
Oh, God, yeah. What was that? Was it the biscuit factory that was in? It was like a cold industrial warehouse, which, like, that was cool. Like, the industrial kind of look was very cool. It was very in, except for we just didn't have the weather for it. So we're blasting heaters and like everyone's still like freezing. That was so funny, man. That was so funny.
What was so good about what did she deliver on that day that was memorable for you guys?
It was just like, it was a totally different energy to what Simon's talking about with Fair, much calmer. She gave some like, she had the sort of self-portrait thing that she was doing at the time. Right. And then from her talk, she spun off a wee Facebook group where she challenged people to take a self-portrait. It was like every day, I think. And that just helped people sort of see changes in their work and in how they like to be photographed and stuff. So
yeah.
So Jennifer came over to Edinburgh to do a shoot with Curie, I think it was, and the style and everything was great, and getting the chance to shoot, because this was, so obviously we have been doing wedding films for a while, but moving into doing photography, that was the start of it. And so I was very much coming into to anything with kind of fresh eyes, and just hearing her talk about story and narrative and focusing on that through a brand was really beneficial, I think. Yeah, because I feel like the term brand for me can seem quite clinical, as if it's like pre-thought out. It's not you, it's you, but maybe slightly adapted so that you can reach certain people. And that always kind of felt a little bit more, again, I don't want to say fake, but like I understand you put out what you want to attract, but to me that always seemed a little bit fake, and that kind of removed that notion for me. Yeah, if that makes sense. Makes sense in here, but what goes on in my head doesn't always make sense to people around me.
No, it does make sense, because brands can feel a bit constructed, and like you say, a bit one step removed from the person, and it's sometimes really lovely, isn't it, to then meet that person, and then you're like, okay. And what I really love when I meet photographers or filmmakers, and then I'm like, now I can see them. It makes sense, them in their work, like it's really lovely if people are, I guess, in these kind of conferences and workshops, they are, you're invited into like a more intimate version of them. And sometimes in brands, people are it is as you can say, on that scale of some of it can be really manufactured, and people that are genuinely in their brands, you know, and then you get to speak to them and see their pictures. It kind of all makes sense, doesn't it? All joins up and you're like, oh, of course you're like that. You know, that's always really lovely, isn't it? It's like, you know, you can be, you know, warm or a bit of a wally, you know, not too serious, or, you know, like it's just really lovely. Obviously I'm saying that about myself because I can be like, you know, I'm not always serious.
Yeah.
But I can be, but you know, I'm not always, you know, we are multifaceted, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think
complex.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've always struggled with that, where business and my personality intertwine, you know, because I feel like I've got so many parts of my personality. Which one do I put forward?
Right.
And can I even put one part of me forward? Because they're all intertwined. They're all mixing into this weird pot. I feel like it so back in the day, I used to struggle with that as myself being represented in a brand. What I struggle with now is it purely on like a creative, almost aesthetic level, where I feel like there's a type of person that I want to reach, right? They are creative, but at the same time, they're not like pretentious in a way that is like too controlling. That they appreciate genuine moments. They don't want to create something that a wedding in my head isn't. Like, I feel like a wedding is a very real event and it's important, I think. And so I feel like when it comes to that sort of person, how do I, like, what kind of style of work do I need to create to attract those kind of couples, you know? And the messaging is okay, but it's the visual aspect of the work that I want to try and focus on to create that couple to come over. So I don't know. Does that make sense? And if it does make sense, you got any tips for that sort of thing?
As in what, your portfolio, do you mean?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Again, it's early days, so I feel like, yeah, I suppose, yeah.
I guess the thing is, it's like not overthinking things too much, you know, like, because you can shoot a wedding from your point of view, even if the bride is trying to to overproduce it, and you're trying to find, you know, always come back to like, where's the picture for me? Where's the picture for me? And if there isn't that many pictures there for you, you know, sometimes that happens, doesn't it? Like, it can feel like there's a scale, isn't there? There's the ideal client, and then there's different versions of that. And I guess it's then working out, like, you know, curate your portfolio so then you're just continually showing the pictures you want to make with that tone that you want. And then so then the bride then eventually then who wants something really overproduced will look at your work and go, well, this is not, the production of this isn't quite what I want. This is too, you know, authentic or documentary. So it comes back to that. The pictures have to be an extension of your values. And when you know, and be clear in that. And then it will align to theirs. Because, you know, a bride who wants something overproduced will not go for someone where their portfolio is clearly, you know, bit more raw or less staged, perfect, whatever the word is, you know.
Yeah, I suppose, is it that? So I'm maybe having trouble separating the tone of an image to the visual aesthetics of an image, you know.
Right.
So if I feel like these real moments are particularly important to me, is it counterproductive for me to do a styled shoot, for example? And if it's not, what does that styled shoot look like in an authentic way? I think you said it right. Don't overthink it. And I'm thinking, that's what I'm doing. That's what I do. So, you know.
I guess you have to understand what type of tone of images you've possibly got at your fingertips to create, knowing your equipment and understanding your aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it's the aesthetic. There's the moment and the aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, there's the narrative and the aesthetic. And I think they're two separate things. We don't have control over the moment, but we have control over the aesthetic. So how are we going to shoot that? What camera? What settings? How is it going to be edited? What point of view? You know, it comes back to that. The craft of the photographer, like there's a gazillion different creative choices, and that will inform the aesthetic. So then you add the aesthetic plus the moment equals the image, right? And that bit of it, like it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it to create the tone. And that is a whole landscape of, you know, craft where people don't really go there because they're not trained photographers and they're not studying and have studied like photography at great lengths. It's really quite simple if you just go into like the mechanic, even just the technical of it, you know.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
that's my thought. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I feel like that has helped me. It seems so weird having done this for so long, but just changing my perspective just because I'm doing images instead of video. Whereas I feel like video was very much pulled in the direction of like music, sound, like all those elements I focused on to help me create what I wanted to create. But now it's not that, or maybe it can be. I don't know. But yeah,
I guess it's a whole different language though, isn't it? It's like you've gone from Russian to Chinese. You know, like it's a different. You know, it's a whole different visual language. Is what I'm. You know, like, you know.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of having to learn a different language, like because then if I did the equivalent of going to a moving image, I'd have the same problem. I'd be like, hang on, oh God, now I can cut to something like that's mad.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, and then you've got, as you say, you've got like sound. Wow.
Yeah. But my this is terrible, but my biggest fear is now I actually do have an image in my head. The problem is I don't have the right, and I don't like bringing equipment into it, but I like little details are where like I feel like there's a lot of beauty in the very small details that happen. But I shoot on a 35 most of the time, so I'm just like, shit, I'm gonna have to go to Greg and be like, Greg, can I get another lens?
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg. Do you know what's refreshing though? I feel utterly clueless, and I've been doing this for 15 years. And Greg's like,
Amazing.
He's probably thinking, please stop sounding like you're new to this. Like, you're a professional. Yes, I know. It's maybe that's where I can relate to people newer who are listeners getting into photography. Maybe my point of view can help them. Anyway, I feel like we've just talked about me for the past 20 minutes. Bloody hell.
Let's talk about some photos. I'll pull up some
fucking hell
images.
Yes.
Go.
Screen share.
Yes. Can't wait.
Window. So,
yes. Okay. So for show and tell. Oh,
I chose this one.
You did.
Really, Simon was like, I want you to choose one today. I was like, oh, I don't normally choose one. But anytime I scroll through somebody's portfolio, seeing underwater stuff is always like, oh, what's the story here? How did it come about?
Yeah.
How did you shoot it? Like technically as well. So tell us everything about this. Like why is this shoot?
Yeah, so I used to live in Brighton by the sea and I used to swim in it. And we had that lovely disease called COVID. And I was like, oh, what can I do to keep me going? So I came up with the concept of photographing couples in the sea because it seemed doable, because nothing else was doable, was it, at the time? it was perfectly to be social distance, and it was couples. It meant I was still working, and then I sort of had I had a destination wedding booked, which then got postponed, and it was my first one in Greece. And so then in a way, I was like, if I could pilot this, then when I'm in Greece, I can do this. But I needed the images to see whether the concept could work, and then to pitch it to the couple in Greece to go, by the way, can we do this also? So that's how so I literally just, went on the old Facebook and just said, couple call out, come to the, email me. And that's what I did. We went in the sea and I started taking pictures. And I learned quite a lot. It's actually really difficult. Like, it's really hard. It's really difficult. Like, some of it was terrible, and some of them looked like washed up whales, No, not like they look like whales, but like, in my mind it was like quite sexy and interesting. But like, if you're being whacked by a really big wave, and then in Brighton it's pebbly, I'm thinking James Bond sort of like, people coming out the sea. It really wasn't like that. People were getting knocked. The bikinis half hanging off. The bloke's shorts are coming undone. He's shouting at her. Anyway, I learned a lot by, piloting this. And I tried different cameras and different techniques of just people going, oh, just put this around your camera, try this one, do that one. I'm not going to tell you exactly how I do it, because I feel like I've spent a long time crafting how to do this. And I feel a bit of ownership over that. But so then whatever I learned from that technically and how to do it, because actually treading water and taking a picture is really difficult. And then I pitched it to that Greek couple. They're not Greek, by the way. The wedding was in Greece. And she was like, oh my God, well, Rory grew up there. His parents sort of like owned some of this island. There's a beach we always go to. Joanna, this is such a great idea. We'll pick you up and we'll go and have this adventure. And so then it became an actual thing. So then I was like, great, off we go. And so then now, if I'm abroad, I say to my couples, hey, should we go swimming at some point? And they'll either go, oh God, yeah, we are really excited about this, or they'll go, no, thank you. Why do you want to go swimming with you? So it's like an experience. It's just a different viewpoint of a wedding, right? It's like I found this space that I swam in the sea in Brighton. Like, I've always swam. Like, I love swimming. It's the ultimate freedom. It's that thing again, isn't it? You're not on the land, and you're not, you're in this other space. It's otherworldly. The light comes through, the body moves. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it kind of evolved, I think, from me and where I was. And I was then brave enough to kind of then go, should we do this? And then clients are like, yeah, like, and also we have such a good, it's so grounding and human. That's the thing, because like nobody looks good apart from the couple. Like, I mean, I don't look good, I have to wear like goggles. Just, I'm very there's a vulnerability around it. Fragility, and it's beautiful, and it's bonkers, and it's fun, and the pictures are just, they're more than I could ever hope. They're like paintings to me. So that's how that all evolved.
Yeah.
What was the like successful hit rate with doing film underwater? Surely I'm just imagining you getting like 1 or 2 back. Is
It depends if there's been a storm.
okay?
Because if the current's strong, then it churns up the salt.
Mm.
So then if it's dense salt, then it's the visibility starts to go. So there is a science behind it, and how is it sunny day? Is there waves? It's in the same sort of thing. It's just you're dealing with a whole different set of parameters, salt, waves, sunlight, depth, like it's just a whole different, thing to then apply a science to. It's pretty good, the hit rate now, but it wasn't, because I've had to, I've done quite a lot of this, and cutting my teeth on Brighton Beach probably was really good, because then suddenly when you're in Ibiza, you're like, come on.
Still it's
easier. Like going from
Yeah.
a barn to like the Savoy. You're like, well, if I can make it look good on Brighton Beach in a global pandemic, I can do this in Ibiza.
I went through a phase of wanting to do some underwater stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if Greg remembers this, but then it got to a point.
To Lexi Lane.
Oh, I think it was before that, but Lexi Lane's work is phenomenal for underwater stuff.
Wow, yeah, she's the goat, isn't she?
She is incredible. But then I very quickly realized to be able to do any underwater stuff, it would be like in a swimming pool, or, well, that's it, because all the lochs in Scotland are murky and dark.
There we go.
And cold as fuck. And so I just had to realize that just wasn't in the cards for me, because yeah. Next image, Greg. Let's have a look at one of the ones that I picked.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I love images that confuse me to a degree.
Yeah.
So much so that I end up playing the kind of what is it game. And so I always like to take a little guess. But I'll tell you why I like it. I like it first because, again, it's abstract. It feels upside down to me, and that's almost an appeal. I don't think it is, obviously, but the colors and the tones and the textures. Now, I'm going to assume this is a slow shutter dance floor shot with the lights from the stage in the background that are blue. That is maybe a red dress. It's slow shutter on film. Am I close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mirror dance floor?
A mirror dance floor.
A mirror dance floor.
Awesome. Okay.
I love a mirror dance floor. And it was just, their dresses, the angle, the light. I think there was smoke as well. So, like, when you're just like, I can't see anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh. I quite like a mirror dance floor for that. I've done a couple of first dances of couples like reflected back, because it's also, don't you think it's a bit, it's like water, isn't it? It's like a pond. It's like the sea. There's a theme, like it's otherworldly, because obviously, like, if I'd done that, like, that's a different viewpoint, isn't it? So how can you find interest and beauty wherever you are? Well, see what you've got around you, right? And see what you've got in your hand and take the picture.
Yeah. What about this image?
You mentioned painterly, like with the last sort of underwater stuff. This one, like if someone was to show you that in a gallery and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a painting," like, okay, I can believe that.
Yeah,
it's got that feel to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you take this image, or even what made you see that there was an image here at all? Because some photographers might actually look at this and be like, "Oh, I didn't get it right because it's not sharp," or whatever the stories that we tell ourselves. What made you see something in this image?
Well, I guess it's that, like, within what's available to me, where are the, where's the picture? Like, what conveys something to me that means something to me, that hints at something, that alludes to something that's slightly mysterious, beautiful, unknown. All those things are, because everybody's just going to get a shot of just some people dancing.
Yeah.
where else is there a picture which is, you know, a bit more interesting? You know, that's about having those different, you know, the tone, you know, it's not what I'm taking a picture of, it's how I'm doing it, isn't it? You know, and how in that moment, you know, I'm scanning, going different perspective. What have I got? Where can I see? You know, I'm not just on burst mode, being a lunatic.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, let's just see, you know, let's really be present here. There's the picture. Great. Done.
Yeah. I love that approach. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next image, Greg. I actually can't remember what's next. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were having, I can't remember who the conversation was, but we were talking about the beginning and end of a role being the more creative, the better ones. And when I saw this image, I thought, oh, this must be the beginning or end of a role.
Yeah.
And I like that for that reason. That cutoff mark is just perfect as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about this, because I feel like the error in the film is, for me, the thing that makes it.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that much of a genius. This is just like, I do obviously some, you know, starts of the role of the film, there is this phenomenon that just happens. I mean, it just happened that you know, it was annoying because I was in the portrait section of the day, and I remember thinking, oh God, I've got to now change a roll of film. This is really inconvenient. And most people would probably be like, oh, I'll just move on to a different camera. But they hadn't quite relaxed enough.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, so I was like, guys, I just need to just change this role. And they're so lovely. They're like, sure, we'll just have a natter. And so then by then changing the roll of film meant then the next shot was going to be like this.
Now,
it just was that then that is the shot, isn't it? Then that is the shot.
Do you have an image of this? Like, did you know that the beginning of the roll is going to be fucked up a little bit? Did you take this image twice just to get the safe shot?
I probably didn't repeat this shot. I took some more of them in this spot, but I wouldn't have taken this shot in that spot, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So this is the shot on that spot in this moment. But, you know, I try and very, you know, work quite hard in the couple shots to kind of get enough, you know, variety. So I'm not overthinking it, thinking, is that one going to be a bit weird?
Yeah.
Because I'm literally just like, get the film changed, woman. Fiddling about.
Oh, man. But
and
yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is.
And that's why film, you know, has that quality for me. Like, that's everything that, you know, it gives you back stuff which you just don't even know you needed. You're like, brilliant, you know. So by being playful with it and being engaged with it, then it does give you stuff. For some people, this is terrifying. But because I'm not putting so much pressure on, like, oh my God, now I've got to get the shot from this moment. This was the shot from the moment. How lucky are we to have this shot from that moment? They love this picture. They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see
We've
why.
not even really spoke about the fact that you shoot film and digital that much, but that's something that I believe you've done throughout the whole of your career, isn't it? It's not like you're just going, oh, well, I know how to shoot film and it's popular, I'll do it. It's something you've done forever. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I'm actually like, I'm not very good at digital. I'm terrible at tech. I couldn't even plug this laptop charger in for you guys earlier. So, you know.
It wasn't your fault.
Damn kids.
But of course. You know, so the film has always, I mean, when I was 18, I started shooting film. I started shooting digital when I was like 28. So, it's lovely. It's a lovely kind of coincidence to be born and to be this age and to, you know, to have this experience. And then that is my skill. It's my skill set, really, which is weird because now it's cool. But I wasn't cool from the beginning. It wasn't cool, you know.
Or were you?
I don't think I
other
am
people
cool either,
just
by the
didn't
way.
see it.
Under the radar, cool. So yeah.
I mean, I know we touched about this. You know, it is the degree in which being a wedding photographer was so uncool. You just can't picture it almost. Like for people coming in new to this industry, you have no idea how uncool it was
It's really
to make
uncool.
that a career. At those early years, you were a complete loser. It was almost as bad as people who say, "Oh, you're a teacher because you can't." You know, those who cannot do teach. It's like those who can't be a photographer do wins. That's the degree in which it was, which I find absolutely hilarious. But yeah. Anyway, Joanna, thank you so much for being
welcome.
here with us. Where can people find you online if they wanted to check out your work or go through your website?
Joanna Brown Studio, I think .com. It's not I think.com, but it's Joanna Brown.
JoannaBrownStudio.com. Yes.
I think. And then on Instagram, I also think I'm Joanna Brown Studio. I think.
Yep.
Just go to Lisa's page. She's got all this stuff.
Click on the links.
Just,
as you're buying your ticket to Thrive,
go
just
to Auntie
click on
Lisa.
the link.
She'll have your back.
That's it. She always does.
Go to Lisa. I'm useless.
God.
Useless.
And people can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com, I think. Instagram at
Is that
Perspective by Cinemate on Instagram, I think.
Good.
And do clear your calendars for Thrive. If you're on the fence, like I can never recommend Thrive enough to people. I just think it's a really good time. You get to listen to people, you get to be inspired, not just by the amazing speakers, but by everyone around you who, you know, if you're new and you're coming in, you will definitely make friends with people for sure. Just chat to anyone there and they will just chat back. It's a great little community. So Thrive in Edinburgh, it's on the 10th and the 11th of March, returning to the Imagen X at Yotel in Edinburgh. And this is the 10th year anniversary. So well done again, Lisa. If you have enjoyed this conversation, you can hit subscribe wherever you get podcasts and on our YouTube at Perspective by Cinemate. We hope to see you in the next episode. However,
in the meantime,
enjoy your Thrive.